Well, Justin, welcome to the show, man.
Are we recording?
We're recording.
Oh, shit, okay.
This is it, man. This is it. Welcome to the show. Local superhero, entrepreneur, incredible
Not superhero.
personality. But yeah, I don't know, Fonzie. Welcome back to the studio, dude. What
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Well,
It's been a journey. Honestly, I feel like in the last year I've done like 2 or 3 in the studio. So
Yeah,
it's good
okay.
to be back. It's good to be back with a local entrepreneur. We were just talking about how there's kind of like low-key, high-profile entrepreneurs here in Jacksonville. And maybe, Justin, I think you're one of them, right? Like you came...
Working on it.
You came into my radar, not too long ago. I think you met my brother before.
Yeah.
But I was surprised when I saw your social media and I saw the people that you hang out around and connect with. I was like, wow, this guy is legit. So just to start off the show, I want to go straight to a couple lessons. If people tune in for only 5 minutes, I want them to have a takeaway. So in the last couple of years, you helped your family grow this company, you helped them exit it, you've had mentors, you've read like over 100 books on personal development, and even better, you actually implement on them. So if you had to rank, some of these lessons that you've learned throughout these last couple of years, what are the top 3? Top 3 that somebody listening today, they're like, all right, I can stop this, go implement, and my life will be at least 1% better.
Oh man, that's a great question. I would say number 1 is you got to know yourself. And I think that is easier said than done. And so for me, that comes from understanding my family history, my genetics, understanding a lot about who I am as a person through trial and error. In a company growing a business, that's like the biggest vehicle for personal development, in my opinion. So you learn a lot about yourself through that, through going through challenges. I would say number 2, similar to that, is knowing what you want and like knowing where you're at, because I think a lot of us sort of conflate where we want to go with where we're at too, because I think in order to know where you want to go, you got to know where you're at first. And I think the quickest point between 2 points is a straight line. And a lot of us go up and down and back and forth. And our compass thinks it's pointed north, but it's really pointed south, and we don't really get to what we want. And for me, a lot of mentors have helped in that situation. And I think, we got to fine tune our compass. And I think, again, a lot of us think we have all the answers inside. And I certainly thought that for a long time, but I hit my head against so many walls. And it wasn't until I started reading a lot of the books and found mentors where they're like, dude, you think you're going north, you're actually going south. Like, we got to go this way. I've already been down that path. So for me, it's knowing yourself, knowing where you want to go and knowing where you're at.
Dude.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah, I love how simple you made it seem. And obviously you're way far ahead in this journey.
It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah, I go back to, it's like we have in the Business Creator Club in our community, right? That we have a lot of people that come in and they're like, hey, I want this output, right? And a lot of it is obviously understanding where they are at that moment. So with everything in life, I think that's a great audit to do. But now when it comes to like business and entrepreneurship, when do you became aware of this, right? Because you started with like, I'm going to go there, right? And you ignore maybe where you're coming from or like yourself. And then through that journey, you're like, oh crap, like I actually have to put in the work and grow inside and do better and do all these things, which sometimes personally I've thought to where like, man, like if I would have known this before, I don't think like this will be a path that I'm so deep now that it's like, man, I'm committed. Like this is it, right?
Some costs,
But like for your personal experience, like where do you remember a moment like that? I remember a very crucial moment for us where it was like, this is we go here or we go back, and if we go here, that's it, right? And we decide to go there. I remember that exact moment. Do you have something like that? Yeah, I
would say in my personal life, I grew up not liking school, to put it lightly. I mean, transparently, really hated school. I wanted to drop out all the time, even when, like since I was like 6, but obviously I was 6 years old. I couldn't drop out of school back then.
God, I'm gone.
I'm out of preschool.
Yeah, for real. But so I struggled in school and I didn't really apply myself because I didn't enjoy it. And I wasn't having a lot of fun in my life, truthfully. Like I would play sports and hang out with friends, but like when I would go to school, I'd be like sort of miserable, honestly. And so for me, it was just a lot of like trying to figure it out. And struggled in college. Like I graduated University of Florida, but I went to 3 different colleges. So like that just story in of itself. But yeah, just challenges in my life. But it wasn't really until I would say probably when the pandemic happened and I got into like Tony Robbins, personal development, and I got like addicted like quickly. And so I was just reading voraciously, listening to so many podcasts. Ed Milet, Jesse Itzler, again, Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, all these guys, right? And so for me, that was like a big awakening. And I actually took a personal development course that my buddy was like, hey, you want to do this with me? I think it was a Mind Valley course. If y'all ever heard of Mind Valley?
Yeah.
And so I took a Mind Valley course with Evan and then with another one of my buddies.
Nice.
And did that for a month. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. How can I get more of this? And then got more of that stuff. And for me, I realized like I have so much work to do on myself. Like I wasn't working out nearly as much as I probably should have. I thought I knew what I was doing, but like I realized again, I thought I was at point A, but I really was somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I was like going through all my values, my goals. And I think a lot of us, especially at least in my friend group or people that I know, we have goals, but a lot of our goals probably aren't the best things for us. And so I think to learn that, it's like, that's where I'm a big proponent of finding people who have been where you want to go. Cause it's like, maybe I can go work for them or I can learn from them. And I can learn more about like, what is like, for me, I love business. So it's like, what is the entrepreneurial journey actually like versus what they post on Instagram? And it's like, it's a lot, man. And so I think it's not for everyone, at least in the business sense, but for me personally, it was a lot of hitting my head against the wall, like struggling. And then eventually one day just saying like, I gotta fucking change. Can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I was
Too
like,
late now.
Too late.
I was like, bleep it out.
No, you're good.
But I was like, I gotta change, man. And so I was, pretty much, I felt like I woke up then. And then since that was probably like, 6-7 years ago, it's just been a upward trajectory. I mean, obviously some ups and downs along the way, but for me, my grandfather passing away, stuff like that too. So just nothing like crazy, but, one book in particular, Man's Search for Meaning. Have you guys read that book?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Yeah. Viktor Frankl. Yeah.
Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
That book changed my life, I think, for the better. And unfortunately, so it's about Viktor Frankl surviving the Holocaust. And so that to me, I was like, dude, if this guy can survive the Holocaust and find meaning in the Holocaust, I can do anything. And so I read that book and then that was really like another catalyst for me. And then since then, it's like I've invested heavily into going to like, Tony Robbins events, hiring coaches, like finding business mentors, surrounding myself with great people. And I think, I could never predict a lot of the stuff that's, gone on in my life. But I think the second I started investing in myself is the second my life changed. And I think that's the case for probably most people.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that when you talk about proximity, right? Like you started getting to, closer to people that are where you want to be. And it seems that obviously paid off, right? It was
it's true, man. Like I remember I was in I got invited to this business meeting in New York, like 3 or 4 years ago that I should not have been in the room in. I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to go, like, screw it. Right. And so I'm in this room with very successful people and then they're just like me. And I'm talking to these people and I end up next to this one guy and he's like, tell me your story, Justin. And I tell him about the family history and the food and beverage business, which we can get into and, how we are giving back a little bit in the industry. And he's like, do you know who Tony Robbins is? And I was like, oh, do I know who Tony Robbins is? I love Tony Robbins. He's like, well, dude, he's starting this new 100 billion meals challenge. Like, I love your story. You should connect with someone on his team. And he puts me in touch with, her name's Joelle on his team. And we start talking and it's a 100 billion meals challenge, give back to feed 100 billion people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I always had this vision that I wanted to work with Tony in some sort of capacity, but like in the industry that I care about and stuff that I give a shit about that he also cares about. So now I'm like working with him because of that random person. It was just like, it's just like crazy. And that's just one little thing, but I always think back to that.
Yeah. I'm curious, sir, real quick. I'm curious on like, sounds like you came
he's
from
getting all the questions in because he hasn't been in the studio anymore.
I gotta hit all the questions,
Wait, before you go there, because I know that is a good question. I recently, Tony has been on a podcast tour as we were recording this, right? And I think it was the interview with Alex Hormozi where he fully challenges him to think bigger.
I saw that,
And he talks about this, the meal challenge, and I think it's incredible. But I guess manifestation to me, do you believe in manifestation or visualization?
It depends on your definite visualization. Yes, because I think again, the more clear you are about something and the more you can put yourself in that state, the more you are likely to act upon it.
Yeah.
As far as just sitting in a room, meditating, hoping it's going to come true. No. Cause I guess it's sort of like law of attraction. I think people forget, attraction, the second part of that word is action. And so for me, it's you have to do, I think it's seeing and doing. So in that sense, yes, but not just sitting in a room and doing nothing.
I think that's.
Are you telling me you didn't meditate your way to success?
Well, I wish, maybe that sounds a lot easier.
So here's where whatever people want to believe, that's you. Awesome. I think there's an element of truth here because what you mentioned is okay, you've visualized or you picture yourself working with Tony at some degree, and then we don't know where that opportunity is going to come from. I think that's the point I really wanted to get to because this is a conversation I had with a lot of people in the studio yet. And obviously at my home with my wife and now my kids. Now you're okay, because I've had experiences like that where it's like, you know, as a kid, I wanted to go play professional in Barcelona, Spain, right? With the team in Barcelona. Well, guess what? Somehow I ended up in an academy in Barcelona playing. Like I was this close. And you're like, how does this happen? And you go back and there's like all these series of events. But like, if it's in our heads, like as entrepreneurs, we have to create our own reality. Like we have the possibility to do that. Mm-hmm. So I think for a lot of people that listen that are at that stage, it's important to do that. And before you go into the 30 questions Fonzie has for you, like, do you have a framework? Like, do you do that unconsciously, or do you do that be like, okay, now that I've recognized this pattern where it's like, I want to do this thing and there's things in my life that happen. I take action, of course, ends up happening. Like, do you recognize a pattern now and now you almost like manufacture it, or is it like, it's just been like that?
I think it's definitely pattern recognition to an extent that comes from, you know, reps and time. But I think, again, like I was saying earlier, I think a lot of people are aiming at a target they can't see. Like when it's saying, again, if I have a goal, you know, to grow and sell my business, like what does that mean? If I have a goal to get in shape, like what does that mean? Like I think specificity matters. Like we're in this podcast studio right now, and if I told you guys, like, describe this studio to me, you say, you know, there's black drapes, we got the lights here, you know, you got the TV back there. But then if I asked you to describe your goals in 3 years, could you be that specific? And I think for me, this is what I do. I just basically sit down in like a room with like a piece of paper. And I think goals past 3 years are tough. That's more of like a vision in my opinion. But I'll get clear and I'll be like, okay, in 3 years, I want to be doing 10 million in sales, whatever. I want to be this much body fat, this percentage of muscle, whatever. I want to be driving this kind of car. I want to be living here, but like very specific. Yeah. And you know, Ed Milet, I'm very fortunate to work with him. He talks a lot about the RAS in your brain, reticular activating system. And so the more specific you can get with your goals and what you want, the clearer your brain can go after it. It's like sort of like a heat-seeking missile. And so if you're not clear on what you want, you're not going to get it. And another one of my coaches would always say, be it before it's real. So he'd be huge on visualization, just like seeing what you want, know what you want, but getting super clear about it, because you can say, hey, I want to be rich. Like I want to make some money. Like, okay, here's $10. Like how much money? Like, how are you going to get that? Yeah, you're a little richer, but like $10 million, how do we get there? Then reverse engineer step by step. What is it going to take, the action piece? And so I think, again, it's cool to say all this kind of stuff, but it's like, what are you actually going to do about it? And that's where the goal setting comes in. And that's just the first piece, which I think a lot of people, like we all have goals, right? We all want to be healthier, make more money, like drive a nice car, have a, you know, happy family. But like, what does that actually mean? How do we accomplish that? Yeah. And so for me, it's just, I sort of go crazy with it. I'm like dream life scenario, you know, I'm a big believer in having fun and enjoying what you do. So like, I just go crazy with my goals and dreams. And that's obviously awesome. I'm not going to be LeBron James. So I'm not saying, you know, win an NBA championship, but it's like realistic, right? Yeah. And so I just sit in a room, I get a piece of paper, I write them down, and then I like to segment them into like yearly, 6 months, you know, 3 months kind of stuff. And then I just review them daily. So like I got my phone up there, but my vision board's on my background. So I'm always looking at my goals and stuff like that. So that's sort of like what I do, but it's not like a formulaic thing, I guess, but I like that. Yeah. Sweet.
And for those listening, you mentioned the RAS, reticular activation system. It's pretty much that part of your brain that when you're thinking about something, you just spot it easily, right? So if you're going to buy a car and you're like, I want to buy a Jeep, you start seeing Jeeps everywhere. You're like, oh my God, like now am I seeing Jeeps everywhere? Is because of that part of your brain.
The Jeeps are always there. That's the thing, right?
Exactly.
Like, I love Tony does this example too, where he's like in a room of people and he's saying, you know, look for blue in the room, and everyone's looking for blue. And they're like, did you see blue? And they're like, yes. And he's like, okay, well, now we're looking for red. And he's like, okay, we're looking for red. And he's like, where was the purple? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, because you weren't looking for it. And then he would be like, oh, some of you guys probably even lied to yourself to find the purple when it was actually blue, right? So again, it's getting clear and seeing what you want. And I'm a big believer in it, man. Like, again, I think at the beginning, I was a little skeptical, but then as I started applying it and working with my coaches and stuff, I was like, okay, their life seems pretty great. You know, I'm going to give this thing a shot. And the more I like listen to some podcasts and stuff, like, you guys know Andy Frisella online? Yeah. He had an episode with Danny Miranda where he talks about visualization. He was like talking about how the house that he now lives in, he was like seeing it and, you know, driving in front of it, you know, when he was growing up. And, you know, he found the guy on Facebook and he like kept seeing it in his mind. Eventually, you know, it happened. He was, you know, making the offers to the guy and stuff like that. And I went back and forth and seeing his company, seeing his cars. And I'm just a big believer in that. And it's worked for me. I'm not saying it's a 100% like, you know, system, but to me, it's like, I think, again, you got to know where you are, know where you want to go. Cause I think a lot of us don't really know exactly where we want to go. So we don't end up getting anywhere.
Yeah. It helps you be aligned with your goals. And it's just same with content too, right? Like you got to know where you want to go and then kind of like reverse engineer that and then do content that way. A lot of people that we talk today have no idea. They just think they got to create content for the sake of just creating content, right? And when we ask them, hey, what's the goal of your content? What do you want to do with this? They're like, I don't know. Never thought about that. So
why do you even want to? We have people walking in the studio asking for a podcast, all the information, and the first question is like, "Why do you want to do that?" And they're like, I don't know. I just see a lot of podcasts online. I'm like, okay,
yeah, they might have a want. And they believe this is like a vehicle that might get them towards that want, but it's not specifically like a goal, if that makes sense. Maybe it didn't make sense. Who knows? But the question I have for you from before, I was like, please don't forget. You mentioned that building a business is like the craziest personal development journey. I agree with you. I'm like, the lessons that we've learned, I'm like, I don't even know where I would be if we didn't start a business. But I'm curious, right? Because it sounds like you come from a family of entrepreneurs. Didn't they expose you to some personal development in a way? Like, I'm curious, right? Like, what was that, I guess, like your family culture around it? Because it also sounds like you joined the family business after you graduated college and all that stuff. So I'm curious, right? Like, what was their influence on your growth?
Yeah, so I would say I'm definitely very fortunate in that sense. So like I was telling you earlier, I didn't really like school. So I remember when I was 6 years old, I literally remember my dad coming into class and doing like show and tell and talking about the business. And back in the day, we had these little cows that we used to give away and these Frisbees that would fold up. And I remember he gave the talk about the business, gave all the kids the Frisbees, and we went out to the playground and everyone was throwing the Frisbees around. And these like two girls come up to me and she's like, is that going to be you one day? And I was like, yes, that's going to be me. And like from that moment, I decided like I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But like literally that was like my thing. And so as I grew up, I got to learn a lot about, my grandfather, his dad, his great-grandfather's, my great-great-grandfather. And so I learned like I got this in my blood too. So for me, it was like learning about that. I also learned about how my grandfather was really into psychology. So I was reading like a lot of his old books.
Oh, wow.
My dad wasn't into like as much reading and stuff like that, but I think I got a lot of that from my grandfather, for sure. And then, just growing up around it, like seeing like the highs, the lows, like working in the company, from a young age on like the weekends, stuff like that. And just interacting with people and seeing like, what it takes and like people to employ people and give people jobs and like see the growth and like understand again, like starting from a little office to the next office to the next office to the big office that we just built a few years ago. So,
nice.
I was exposed to it early. And again, you talk about proximity. I think that's a big reason for sure. But like, again, I think the personal development stuff for me was, I needed that because I was like not happy with myself in my own life. I was like, my life is great, but I was like, I wanted to make it better. And like, this was like that channel that I found for me. And then I used all that to apply it to business, to apply it to my personal life. And I think it's been, again, I know so many successful entrepreneurs who are way better entrepreneurs than I'll ever be, but like, I would never trade lives with them. Like they make a ton of money, but they're sort of miserable or they let their health slip or they just can't regulate their emotions. And I'm just like, you just are just a rich dude. Yeah. And I think for me, the people that I gravitate towards, it's like, they sort of have the full package and it's very rare.
Yeah.
But like, they're very self-aware. They're humble. They, are successful financially. They're surrounded by good people. They're healthy. Like they're fulfilled at the end of the day. And for me, that's what I'm all about. And so I think this whole journey and like, I've seen a lot of what I don't like. I've seen a lot of what I do like in the business world. And for me, it's just like, how can I, because everyone's got mentors. We all have mentors. A lot of us have mentors for what we don't want to do.
That is true.
And so I see that. And so you can always learn something from everyone, but it might be in the don't want to do category. And for me, it's like, I want to find the stuff that I do want to do. I guess I'm getting long-winded here, but yeah, like I got exposed to it early from a family perspective. Even on my mom's side, I have entrepreneurs. Like her dad and my great-grandfather on my mom's side, they had a printing company that they built and sold. And I'm a big believer in genetics too. So I think it like is in like your personality too. So for me, I just sort of like, again, I didn't like school. I knew I liked business. So I just went all in on that. And then the personal development stuff, I think helped a lot applying it to the business world. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm interested to listen a little more on the genetic side. I don't think that has been a take that we've had on the show before.
People don't really like that take, bro.
I was going to say, like, not that I don't like it, but my mind goes to what if somebody's born to maybe a family of, bad mentors, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, am I just destined to be this way, to have, this personality traits?
I mean, I think there's some traits, right, that obviously go down. Like, by the way, I'm zero educated on this. Like, this is purely out of curiosity because as you're telling this story, I'm going back and, our mom, she worked at university all her life, right? Board of director, teacher. Our dad was a chemical engineer, worked in the oil industry for a long time in Venezuela. maybe your grandfather.
What did your great grandparents do?
So, our grandparents, like our moms, they started a clinic. So I guess sort of entrepreneur. Well, we never met him, right?
You don't. You don't gotta meet him.
We don't have to.
I don't know our great grandparents, honestly.
Zero idea of what they did.
You guys should find out.
Our grandfather from dad.
It's a good homework. It's a good homework.
Yeah, it's good homework. So what are you looking for there? Maybe like, is that leaving you clues on like behavioral things? Or
yeah, clues for sure. So for me, again, I think understanding. Like, I like parents are great because parents are 50% of us, right? Like I'm 50% of my mom, 50% of my dad. But I think if you go back to your grandparents, your great grandparents, even a step further back, great grandparents, you can sort of see some patterns. It's like, again, on my dad's side, at least for the men, all entrepreneurs pretty much. One lawyer, a bunch of entrepreneurs. So I see that. I'm like, maybe again, there's something here. And then on my mom's side, it's sort of the same thing. So I look at that, and again, that's just one little thing.
Yeah.
But I think, again, like a lot of people don't know this too. Like a lot of like psychological traits are genetic too. Like how narcissistic you are is very genetic. How what's the other one? How much you're likely to forgive someone is genetic. So like there's all these things that we think we're sort of like, again, if I asked you like growing up, I used to hate broccoli, or that's probably not a bad example. I used to hate Brussels sprouts, and I still hate Brussels sprouts. You might love Brussels sprouts. That's just like, I didn't control that. Like my taste bud just said no to that. I don't know if that's genetic predicted, but that's sort of how I look at it, right? And it's just like,
I will say you haven't tried the Brussels sprouts from Midtown Table across the street. They're the best ones, bro. They're the best ones.
Okay, I gotta go try them. But I think it's stuff like that where it's like, obviously, again, I'm not going to be LeBron James, like I said earlier, but he went all in on, like, he had the gift of like, being born with like athletic capability, and he trained on that. So I think it's not everything, but I think it's a lot of something where it's like, I think, again, when it comes to your work, I think working on something that you actually enjoy, and like what Warren Buffett says, like tap dancing to work, I think that matters so much. And so if you can apply your personality to your job, that is like a superpower. Like I love Myers-Briggs, DISC assessment, all that kind of stuff, and knowing yourself more. And so if you can find patterns from your family history a little bit, it's like, okay, grandfather was an entrepreneur, like mom was a engineer, like even just like the traits about them of like what, like did they enjoy their job? Did they not like their job? Again, there's so much context to this stuff, but I think
what are some resources people can do or use, like in this case, to do that? I mean, like call your parents.
I've been very fortunate. Just like our family tells a lot of stories, so I've learned about family history. Maybe you can go to like the ancestry stuff. I don't know if they do jobs.
I mean, we do have an uncle that he knows everything about every single person in our family.
Everybody has that uncle, so you find out.
But I think it does leave some clues, man. Though it's just like,
absolutely.
To me, it's been super, super useful. And again, if it's funny now, if you look at my family, so
that's awesome.
Going back to the patterns, it's like we had a few lawyers and a bunch of entrepreneurs way back in the day. Now it's entrepreneurs, lawyers, and one doctor. And like my doctor's a brother. And then way back in the day, we had, this is like, I think my great great grandfather's brother, he was a doctor. And so like, it's weird. It's just like came sort of full circle again, like almost 100 years later. But I think that's true. And I think, there's a lot of books and resources you can look up, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think it's 100% everything. But to me, it's been helpful because, again, it's just like understanding yourself a little bit more, because I am part of my family history. Like I am part of them in a way. Like those genetics are just a little bit diluted, but they are me. I'm 50% of my parents. So there's got to be some truth there.
Well, remember at my dad's speech, like the one, I think when he was like launching his book, right? He tells his story about he's the one, right? Like to me, that resonated so much with us, I think, because, we didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial family per se, right? Like our thing was like sports and soccer, and that was like our entire like life for the first like 20 years, right? But you mentioned a little controversial. Like, why do you think people might not like this?
Because I think it's, to an extent, it's like you got to sort of accept some things about yourself in a way too. Again, I think it's,
you got to face.
But again, I don't think it's everything. I think it's sort of like, it might be like not even 50%, but it helps you understand yourself more. I think that's the game of life, where if you know yourself, life just gets so much better. Like if I know, again, I'm a 5'6" blend of Jewish and Italian descent. I ain't gonna be an NBA player, so I can want to be an NBA player as much as I want, but it's not it's not on my cards. So
maybe video games.
Maybe I can own a team one day, right? But it's like I gotta go all in on the cards I've been given. Yes. And again, I think acceptance it's sort of like a lost art nowadays. Like again, there's so much outside of our control. But if I can understand myself more and I can apply that to things that, again, I didn't get to control my taste buds, but if I can go find the foods that resonate with me and work well with me, like why would I not do that?
Yeah.
So I think it applies to work. It applies to a little bit of everything about life, and like even understanding how you sleep. Like that's genetic too. It's like some people wake up early, some sleeping later. There's a sleep doctor where it's like you're a lion or like I forget the animals.
Yeah, I remember.
But like some people don't like to hear that stuff. And it's like, why would you not want to understand yourself more so you can have a better life? And that's, to me, the only goal is to have a beautiful life. And the only thing you should fear is having a crappy life. But if you don't know yourself, you're going to have a crappy life.
Yeah, makes sense. What's a beautiful life for you? Like, how does it look like right now?
It's a great question. So it's actually what I'm writing my book about. That'll hopefully come out later this year. So it's just 4 things: health, wealth, love, and fulfillment. And I break them all down. But I think as long as you're healthy, as long as you're financially independent, as long as you have good people around you, you got a good relationship with yourself, and as long as you're fulfilled in a way, I think you're winning. Again, you don't got to be the most successful person financially, but dude, like I was saying earlier, I know a lot of very successful guys. I wouldn't trade lives with them, like for the most part.
Yeah.
They just got a bunch of money. So I think, again, money's a tool, but it's those 4 things at a high level. And I think it's very rare to find people who have those 4 things at a high level. So you might be crushing it in business, but is your social life not that great? Is your health not that great? Do you even like what you're doing? Like, do you feel fulfilled at the end of the day? So it's just those 4 things at a high level. And I've tried doing my best to write it in a book where like I've learned so much from all these amazing people. I don't think I have all this right now, but I know what the goal is. And so that to me is the goal of a beautiful life.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. I think it's a cool transition into a little bit more of the content side of things, right? Because you're writing this book, content, and at the same time, I think you're now going pretty heavy into building a personal brand, right?
Yeah.
So how does that look like for you at first, right? And somebody listening right now, they might be thinking, okay, this is the juice right here. Well, this is what I came from because I want to build a personal brand as well. And you've seen it from the best of the best, right? Like you mentioned, MLA, Jesse, Tony Robbins, like those guys are little media companies, right? And they have incredible messages, incredible lives, like all these things. So I'm curious on what are some of the teachings, right, that you've learned that you're going to apply in this kind of like new journey of
even before
personal
like
brand.
Why personal brand? Because there's, obviously you're a very successful guy. There's a lot of people that we met very successful dude. There's some that even don't want to be.
Yeah, some might not need to build a personal brand, right? But
yeah, I don't think it's for everyone. Again, I'm still learning a lot about this, but for me, I think the biggest piece, again, I'm very much a byproduct of the alternative education space. So again, Tony Robbins, Ed, Andy, Jesse, like I learned so much about life through their podcasts, through their books, through being able to hang out with them in real life. And so nothing against any of my upbringing or my family or my friends or anything like that, but like that's where I found like a lot of like, oh shit, like life is a lot more fun on this side of things. And so for me, a big piece is like, one, I've had so many people tell me, it's like, dude, you've been doing all this work for so long. You have to start doing this. And I said no for the longest time. For like 3 years, I used to write and post on my Instagram stories and I would never record videos. And I got so many messages from people. They're like, dude, you should start making videos. You should start doing YouTube. And I just said, no. I'm building a business. Like I'm chilling. And then I just had people were like, they kept bothering me. And eventually I was like, you know what, maybe I should listen to them. And then, like I said, giving back, I think for me, I think to give up your privacy for impact is, a big question you got to weigh. So for me, I've just started this stuff, but I would love to share what's learned, like what's helped me. And again, it's not what I was taught in school for the most part. And I think a lot of people hopefully can learn from my mistakes, learn from what I've been fortunate enough to learn from and people I've learned from. And so for me, a big part of it is giving back. A big piece of it too, selfishly, is I think there are going to be a ton of cool opportunities that will come from this. But the biggest thing for me is like, I see a big impact piece of this. It's like, I can see a whole community around this, like getting entrepreneurs together, again, meeting a bunch of cool people, doing more podcasts. And like, that's what changed my life. So it's like, if I can just be a little bit of that. And that's just how I was raised. Like my grandfather, my dad was like, that's like, if they always used to tell me, if you can leave the world a little bit of a better place, like before you leave, like you did a good job. This is just, I think, my way of doing that. So like, that's why I'm writing the book. And like, I wish part of me is like, I wish my grandfather wrote a book. I wish my dad wrote a book. I still got to work on him for that. But it's just stuff like that where it's like, dude, if like, seriously, like we were just talking about Tony Robbins. Imagine if Tony Robbins didn't exist. I honestly think if he has like, since he's been alive, has probably changed more lives than the history of like anyone, like since he's been around. I think he's had that much of an impact. And it's like, imagine if he didn't do what he did. Imagine if Ed didn't exist. Imagine if like some of these guys, it's like, I don't know where I'd be. So it's like, I think about that and it's like, sort of feel a little bit of an obligation to like, hopefully help some people.
When do you think somebody's ready to go tackle something like this, right? Like, cause I feel like we see 2 sides where there might be a lot of people that are creating content now that think they're ready, but they might not be, right? They might be creating more of a negative impact or maybe misguiding somebody, right? In a way versus somebody that's hyper ready, but they're like, you know what, I value my privacy a little bit more. Like, I don't really want to put in the work because it is a lot of work, right?
It is, yeah.
When do you think somebody should make that decision, if they're going to make that decision?
Yeah, again, I think it's again knowing what you want. I don't think you're ever like 100% ready. It depends, I guess, just what level you want to take it to. I mean, I don't think, making content could be so many different things. It could just be posting an Instagram story. It could be making a video a week. It just depends on what level you want to take it to. So, I mean, I've had friends of mine who are, I guess you call them influencers, who have, millions of followers. They just say, pick up the phone and start talking. Like, there's nothing crazy about it, which it feels so weird when you do that. Like, it feels so awkward, bro. Like, I hate it, honestly. But it's helping me get better. And so I think it just depends on, again, knowing, again, you asked me why, like, why do you want to do this? I think there's people who selfishly are just like, I just want to be famous and make a bunch of money. And I'm not here to say right or wrong. So again, I think it comes back to, again, this is like my answer for everything is like knowing yourself. But
I love it.
It's just, for me, again, I've had so much on my life get so much better because of this stuff. And if the internet wasn't invented and like I couldn't go on, like it still blows my mind that YouTube is free and I can go watch Tony give a talk. I can go watch.
It's insane.
Like, dude, you can change your life so fast. But like, people would rather just watch Netflix or like literally watch like the people playing with their dogs and like chasing squirrel. I don't know. But like, I think social media can be such a great tool if you're intentional with it. But I think, it just depends on what you want to do with it. But I think, again, for me, like I want to make this thing like as impactful as I can. I'm not saying I want to be like Tony or Ed level one day, but I'm going to give it my best shot to like, sort of blow this thing up.
Yeah. How long have you been thinking about it, about building your personal brand?
Like I've been saying, like it's been in the back of my mind for a while. I think after we sold the business, I had a lot more time in my hands. So I was going through that process of like, what does my next season of my life look like? And I took some time just to chill and think. And, I know I wanted to write a book. So I was like, I'm going to write a book. And then I've had people like, what would help with the book is like people knowing about the book. I was like, that's fair. Yeah. I probably got to get my name out there. And then just talking with friends of mine who are doing this stuff and again, learning so much about like all the cool opportunities that came the way. And I was like, I want to try this thing. And then, again, just people speaking into me saying like, dude, I think you could actually do this. Cause I think a long time too, I just didn't think I could do it. And I still am like, sort of like, who gives a shit about what I have to say? Yeah. But I've had so many people tell me, it's like, dude, you've actually done a few things. And there's so many other people who like didn't really do anything. I'm not trying to dismiss them, but like they sort of blew up online too. And it's like, we have this tool. You can just pick up the phone and like you can get 1 or 2 videos and like change your life sort of thing or like help some people. And again, I was thinking a lot about this before we were selling and it was like a piece of that. I knew I wanted to get back into business eventually, like investing in companies, buy companies, what I do now, starting companies. But I've like sort of like created this idea of like, what Dan Martell sort of is doing. Yeah. That's like what I want to do, but like for my industries. And so I saw Dan doing it and I got to meet him at Tony Robbins and I talked to him for a little bit. Very cool. And he's like, you ready to do content? And I was like, I guess I don't have a choice. And so being able to work with him or see him do that and has been an inspiration and then, work with Ed too. So it's been a combination of a bunch of little things, but I've been seeing the power of it more lately, even on such a small level. It's been fun. So I'm excited to keep it going.
So when you talk about opportunities, right? Because you're saying like, this is going to potentially bring some opportunity. What do you mean exactly by that? And again, I think it goes back to knowing yourself and knowing what your goal is, because the opportunities that you're seeking are probably different than maybe the opportunities that the person that is listening have, that they want, sorry. So what are those for you? Are you talking about, connecting with people to, be able to invest in better deals or, maybe selling some sort of master? Like, what is it for you that you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah,
here?
it's a little bit of everything. So I was listening to a podcast with Magic Johnson and like the A16Z like venture team the other day, and he was talking about your Rolodex of people, and he was like, you can meet as many people as you can. You might not need someone from right now, but in 10 years, if you know them, like maybe you guys can do a business deal together. And they went through this whole story of like, how Magic knew all these people and how a few people in his life that he got to meet and through meeting those people, met a ton of other people. And he's like, we didn't do a deal for like 5 years, but then he called me and he's like, you want to do this deal? And that changed my life. And so I think for me, part of it is the business stuff for sure. Doing the podcast with my buddy, Nick, like I met so many cool people just from that. And like, we've been doing it for like 4 months. Yeah. Even just posting a little bit, like going to some of these events, meeting people is I think a big piece of this. I think, my dad would always tell me, your network is your net worth at the end of the day. It's not really exactly what you know, it's who you know. And the thing with personal brand, it's like, it's who knows you. So like, dude, like I can't even imagine on like a Tony and Ed and Jesse level, they probably get hit up all the time. And most of it's probably crap when it comes to business deals. But Jesse was telling me, he's like, dude, I've had so many cool opportunities come that I would never imagine just from this personal brand thing.
Yeah.
So it's, you hear some stuff like that and you're like, okay, this could be sort of cool.
Maybe I should start talking to the camera.
Well, I mean, even at our micro level, right? Like with, you know, our extent, I guess, because with our podcast, I guess that will be, I guess,
that's the main argument that I tell people. I'm like, dude, the podcast obviously is great. Like we get some traffic and, you know, we get people interested in what we do. But the main benefit and what brings me the most joy and fulfillment is the relationships that we get to make. Like we get to talk to people that we would have to pay also a lot of money, right? If we wanted to be a little bit closer to them, but we invited them to the podcast and they're like, heck yeah, come on. And we're like,
and we're a phone call away. I think that's the value that I think a lot of people don't even see it. Like even when they're doing it, it's not in their radar. We just had a guy record here, Real Doc Speaks, and he's a retired physician. He's talking about the pharmaceutical industry, very interesting topics, and he's bringing incredible. And I'm sitting here looking through like the people that he's talking to, and I had to like point it out. I'm like, Jim, you will have a gold mine with this podcast, not because of the money that's coming from whatever you guys decide to do with it. Like, he's not doing it for money at all, but like the topics and the people in the industry that he's bringing together. I'm like, man, like pay attention to that because it's going to be incredibly powerful, especially in the field that and he's like, I never thought of that. And I think most people are like the views and the things and how do we monetize this thing, like this asset, which is the episode, right? It's not about that, man. It's not about, and I think you put it in the perfect spot to be able to be like, okay, can we widen our view on like how we see collaborations online? And it could be a podcast, it could be a blog that we do, it could be a phone call.
The medium can be anything.
It could be anything.
Yeah, no, I think people, I think everything comes down to people. Like if you want to have a great business, you need good people. If you want to have, you know, success on personal branding, like you're going to have to meet a bunch of people. And I think collaborations is a part of that. So I think, again, if you want to, and if you have big dreams and big goals, like the fastest way is to have people know what you're doing and to know a lot of people, because that's just how the world moves. It's like, if you want to take this really cool trip to Japan, like, are you going to go online and try to do it yourself? Or do you know like the best travel agent in Japan and you can call her and be like, I'm coming to Japan. She's like, I got you. Like, this is how much it's going to cost. Everything's already situated. Like the more people you know, I think, and again, it's not just knowing people, you got to add value to them. So I'm a big believer in like connecting other people. Like Nick, my podcast co-host and best friend, this dude's literally like the master super connector. It's such an underrated skill. I think I've been decent at it, but I met him and I'm like, dude, you're like,
you're
like S tier, bro. But I think that like people will know you for that. It's like, oh, dude, this guy connects me to him, and then you start connecting all these people, and like you can't maybe see it now, but then you look up and your spider web of connections is massive. Yeah. Like I was just talking to a dude today. He used to play in the NFL, and like we might do a business deal together because of Nick. And it's just like, if I didn't meet Nick, like what happens then? And so again, I don't know how it'll unfold, but like it's stuff like this where it's like the power of people, man. If you can add value to their lives and just like support people, and I think even just like believing in people, dude, it's so like rare nowadays. If like you can support other people, like dude, like they're gonna be behind, you're gonna support each other and you guys are gonna have an awesome relationship and good things will come from that. Yeah. It's so funny to me. Like it's so rare to like want to see people win. So many people don't want to see you win. I'm just like, literally I had someone text me and I didn't save their number in my phone, but they're like, I had this text come in the other day where they're just like, they just were like giving me shit about posting online. I just deleted it instantly. I was just like, who is gonna take their time to like do that to me? And I was just like, it's so ridiculous.
They're hurting.
But like for real, but it's like, but if you support people and like want people to win, I think great things come from that. That's, you know, if you can support more people and, you know, share their shit and want them to win, like I think a bunch of good things come from that.
Yeah. Circling back to the RAS, right? Is like, if you're on that state of gratitude and like wanting people to win, like that's what you're going to see, right? You're going to start spotting the opportunities for winning too for yourself.
Dude, and being aware of your state, man, your energy, that's such an important thing too. Like so many people aren't aware of like, you're always making someone feel something. Yeah. Whether it's the bartender, the waitress, the flight attendant, like you always are making someone feel something. So even that sense, when you meet someone, like how are you making them feel? If you can make them feel good, because again, we're probably not going to remember everything we said in this podcast together, but we'll probably come away and be like, that was fun, that we both like, there was a good energy there, like we vibed and like, it was cool. And like, I'm sure we'll both like be like, yo, you guys got to get on this podcast. You guys got to know each other. And like, that's just going to happen because of the energy. Yeah. So I'm a big believer in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. People will remember how you made them feel at the end of the day, right? Yeah. And which is I think like another good topic about content, right? Is like when you create content, at first you talked about like, I kind of hate it right now. I even hate it right now. It's like, sure, it is part of the process. At first, you might not truly enjoy doing certain things, but the more you do it, you're going to have like more evidence that you can do it and that you can do it better. And that confidence start growing. And then the energy that you transmit to people on the content, people are going to be like, oh, wow, like I like this guy.
Yeah.
And I find myself honestly connecting online. The people that I start following the most is because they have great energy. I'm like, oh, they're like, the insights and the education are great, but if like I have to connect energetically with
it's
them.
the energy thing, man. I've seen that within myself. Like it's really hard for me, and I hate even speaking those words, but it's been really challenging for me just like hold it up. Like I'm totally different with you guys versus like this. Like this is just like, but like here I'm me.
I can tell, bro. You're like, your hands and everything.
What we need to give you is a little sticker with our faces. So you can put on your phone and be like, I'm talking to the bros.
I had a coach that I used to work with. She used to work for the BBC in the UK, and she was always say like, imagine your best friend or someone you really love as the camera. I'm like, okay, I'll try. But like, it's the same thing as like imagine everyone naked in the room, and I'm just like, it doesn't really work like that. Yeah. So that's why like the in-person podcast, the in-person stuff, I think it's so valuable and so underrated. Like people ask me, it's like, should I build an in-person company or should I do work from home, or should I do a mix of both? And I'm like, me personally, I sometimes take Fridays off, and so I'm like, if you can do hybrid, that's great. But I'm like in person, like the energy you guys feed off each other. Like again, being aware if you're. And there's not a lot of great leadership out there, but if you're a good leader, like get people in the room, like know your employees' goals and dreams, have them tell you that, and like have them know each other so you can, everyone can win together. You do that, you're going to crush.
Yeah.
And so again, I think that's a big energy thing.
I love it. I mean, just today we were like this morning, we use a platform called Roam. Huge shout out. It's like Slack on steroids, and you have like these rooms and you can electronically go into somebody's office, right? And
I've never heard of that.
It's pretty cool.
Amazing.
I'm just gonna sneak into someone's office.
I mean, there's
you gotta virtually knock. Yeah.
So, but this morning we hop on a call, I guess, or like he came into my office and we started talking about something, and then we just stay there.
Oh, that was yesterday, by the way.
That was yesterday. My days are blending, but I remember, and we had like this hour and a half where we kind of were in the same room, but not in the same room, but we kind of worked together and we chatted almost like we were sitting next to each other, and the dynamic was really cool. And we have a space that is meant to do that, but it's like we have to be conscious of that too. Like it's so important versus everybody in their own pot, especially now that the world is, I guess, opening back up again, like 6 years later. But to that point is you get to know somebody. Everybody's fighting for the same goals. Whether if I know your goals, if I know my goals, and we're in the same company, like can we make this happen? Right? It's exciting, and I think where he made it for me content wise. You've been in Fun Hiking Live by any chance?
Have you been to what?
Funnel Hiking Live, the ClickFunnels event.
Russell
Branson's event. Okay. Yeah. So there was a year where we went and we had no podcast, no nothing. We were there like, swallowing everything. We're like, oh my God, this is so good, right? Drinking the whole thing. And we had nothing. And then we invested in not that mastermind, a different mastermind. We started the show, and then we went a year later after, I don't know, like 100 episodes in or something.
Maybe.
And the energy was shifted massively, where people are like, oh my God, because we invited people from that industry because that's where we were coming from. And it was like, peace, bros, what's up, everybody? And like the energy of the show, like now it's in person in this event. And like that changed my perspective, not only on the energy side, but also on the platform side. You're like, man, it enhances everything else. Just because we spend an hour together creating something together. I think the fact of that we're creating something together, whatever that looks like, man, it could be like any topic. It's going to be so. And I think out of the 700 people that we had, only one has been like, I'm not going to say who, but
But like, all right.
Fonzie. No, I'm kidding. But it is important. I think those are things that people overlook because they're so into the tactics and they're like how to do the thing. And,
Yeah, no, I mean, again, like back to the content side of things, I think, the energy is real. Like that's why I gravitate towards like a Tony, Ed, like Dan.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that too. I've had to like sort of like turn on a switch a little bit where it's like, all right, I do like, you gotta smile, bro. Like you can't grind your way through it all. And I've learned that about myself too. And again, knowing myself, it's like, I can't keep doing this forever. It's not going to work. So I need to get some more people around me. And I'm working on that now. And like,
somebody that can push you and whatnot.
Someone that can push me and like prompt me and like get all the fucking, hopefully some wisdom out of my brain and then do the thing. And I think, that'll help a lot.
Yeah. Have you tried doing it in a different setting, right? Sometimes the environment can also kind of like dictate it. So like I was looking at some of your content and it's indoors, right? It's like in your, I'm guessing, office. But it's like maybe you go out for a walk, right? And you're doing it on a walk. It's a little different. The way you're breathing, right? The energy that you're exerting already by walking, all that stuff. So I'm curious, you've tried any of that?
Yeah, the walking for sure. I'm a big believer in just moving in general. Like I think could do a better job at doing walking clips and stuff like that. But even just like on the business side of things, when it wasn't 1,000,000 degrees outside being here in Florida, I would do walking meetings because I'm a big believer in like motion creates emotion. And then like through that emotion, you're going to have better meeting. It's like different if like we're looking at each other from on a desk, it's so like bland. But like if we're walking, we're changing our state, we're going to have a better meeting. And so I think, yeah, for content for sure, like walking and just holding up the phone. I think I do better at that. Going on the beach, stuff like that. Whenever, again, it's just, I don't know. To like remember to like pull out my phone and like do stuff when I'm like in the middle of all this bit. It's been a big learning curve, and I think I've gotten slowly better at it. But now I think if I can have someone like if we were walking right now and you guys were just recording me and we're recording each other, I think it'd be awesome. Yeah. But if I'm just doing like this, it's
wait,
harder.
You're saying that this is not awesome because we're not walking?
No, this is great. I'm just saying if we wanted to record some content like on a walk, or like for me in the car too. I like in the car because like I get like flow state in the car. I don't know why. I like to drive, but I'll like put my camera on the little like stand and I'll just talk. And if it's good, it's good. If it sucks, it sucks. Yeah. So I've had some good. My best clip I think is me in the car. That like. Data wise, but yeah, I think walking is a big thing for sure.
Walk talks. That's a new podcast we're gonna do.
Walk and talk.
Walk and talk.
Yeah. I mean, we talk a lot about the creation anchor, right? Like what is
walkie-talkie.
That event of the day that you can anchor creation to. There's an example that we give in the community that I'm not gonna share it publicly again, but is it
a secret?
It involves a bathroom. We'll tell you after. Okay. But because
everybody's on their phone in the bathroom.
We ran a couple like challenges with. Sorry,
your glasses are talking right now.
My glasses were talking. All right. But we ran some Facebook Live challenges, right? And the last one that we did, we were about 100 people, and it was like about trying to figure out, my gosh.
That's somebody else's.
Somebody else's. We got some music going.
All right. There we go. Some samba in there. Some samba.
I'll go check out in a second. Let me finish the story.
I'll finish the story. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Go
you
stop
finish the story? Okay.
Yeah, I'll finish it. All right. So we did a challenge. It's called the 45 Live. It was actually inspired on Andy Frisella's 75 Hard.
Okay, cool.
And the whole reason it came out is we were trying to sell businesses here locally for, content services. And one of them was like, where's your stuff? And we're like, oh, dude, we don't really have our own stuff, so we got to start publishing. And we were like, at that time, we were doing the 75 Hard. And we're like, why don't we do the same with content? Just like go live. Rather than working out, we're just going to go live. And we did it for like 45 days in a row. And actually, that's how we met Pablo. Nice. And he was looking at the content. And then he invited my brother to like a content dinner. And then we got opportunities from all that, right?
The power of content.
The power of content, right? But one of the things that we were doing with the 45 Live is like, change your environment to create, right? And we have like bingo cards with like different things and different ways that people could like try to create content and do it in different ways.
I love that, yeah.
And you would see people like finding what was their best way for them to create. Like some people are going to be great at talking heads, right? Some other people might not, right? And they might be better at voiceovers, having a bunch of B-roll and then just putting a voiceover on top of it. So there's plenty of different ways. And I think is going back to energy, finding that way on how do you deliver the best energy. Obviously, you need to deliver viable stuff, right? Like solutions, insight, like help the person that is viewing your content, be 1% better. But if you can find a way that you can deliver that with the right type of energy, it's about being consistent at that point.
Yeah.
In this topic, what do you how do you feel about AI generated content? Let's say like your AI clones.
Okay, so when I was at Business Mastery, Dan Martell actually came on stage and he showed us a video of him and it was AI generated and it looked exactly like him. And he was saying this whole thing about in like a few years, like he was saying how he was against it, but then he saw it and he was like, I don't got to record anymore and I can just put out videos of myself. He's like, this is going to be awesome.
Did it feel like him?
It was still a little clunky, but for the most part, I would say 80% there, which was crazy to me. That was 6 months ago. So I think as in the next 2 years, it's going to be a thing. I personally am I'm not like an AI doomer, but I would rather, I'm a people person. I don't want AI to replace everything we do. And just, I don't want to be watching AI content on my phone. I don't care how good it is. I want to be talking to people. So for me, it's going to happen. I think it's already happening substantially right now, but you can see it on this might be sort of funny or, how do I say it politely? On LinkedIn, y'all use LinkedIn?
Yeah.
So like you can tell like when it's like ChatGPT or something, and I'm like, I know this person, you would never ever talk. I'm like, why are you posting like this? And like you see it on X or like Twitter, and like it's just like I'm like, I think it makes people look worse than they are. So I'm like, you got to use it very intentionally. But like I think AI overall for content, even just like in general, I think it's gonna make a lot of people dumber because they're not gonna want to think as much. Like they're just gonna put the content out, like whatever, even in their business sense. But for people who are using it intentionally, you can become like 20 IQ points smarter, and then you're like a whole new human being. But for most people, I think it's gonna make people dumber. And if you're gonna use it for content and just be lazy about it, I personally am not about that.
Yeah. Well, we personally are not about that.
Especially now that we've been talking about the energy level of this kind of stuff. I think, imagine, I mean, there is examples. I think it was a live streamer in China where they've been live streaming for something like a week straight, but it's all AI generated, selling like on the shops online.
Oh, wow.
And it's like these two avatars that they're just showing product after product, and it's like they never stop. They don't sleep,
That's
no
wild,
nothing.
dude. That's
So that
wild.
is mega wild application for that specific market. But let's say you're trying to be a thought leader, right? You're trying to be an actual leader. Like when people meet you, they're gonna know.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, you're not like the person you say you are. I think there's a big advantage for sure with all this AI stuff. If you can be real and like still like be yourself and not use it to an extent where like it's obviously you're faking stuff, I think you'll have a big advantage. But yeah, I mean, to have an AI agent be able to sell for you 24/7, depends on what industry. Like I love that first. Like the businessman in me is like, ooh, that actually sounds sort of nice.
Yeah.
But for content and like, like making
Especially if you're building a personal brand, right?
Yeah.
And we have a
it's not
friend
even personal anymore. It's just an AI brand. Yeah.
Exactly. And we have a friend, he came on the podcast and he used to own a content agency, and then he pivoted to like AI content type of deal, and he was helping people with that, and he started posting his clone. He actually grew like crazy, his accounts. And the other day he posted a video on a real event, and he's like, something funny. It's like, I've been posting for so long, and like people come and they say hi to me, and like they kind of like feel and believe that they know me, but I feel like kind of like a farce a little bit, like an imposter, because like it's my AI. So like now I feel he's giving off that energy of awkwardness because it's not himself, right?
Yeah, that's no bueno. I think at the end of the day, like I think the most important thing at the end of the day is like when your head hits the pillow, like how do you feel about yourself when you're by yourself? And if you're doing shit like that, and it's like you're sort of fooling people and they come up to you and you're like feel a little bit uneasy. That to me is a signal where like I should probably be a little bit more real here. Yeah. Like I don't know.
Don't let any influencer tell you also how you feel, because that's the other thing. Like people will doubt like I'm feeling this way, but then they're like, because all these people are telling me to do that thing, right? Like they'll be like, I need to continue to do that thing even though I don't feel the best doing that thing. I think with us, the issue is our accent. I don't think AI will do our accent.
The AI comes out speaking English perfectly. They're like, nah,
it's gonna be too perfect.
It's a lie.
That's funny. I might have to develop an accent, bro.
Honestly, like every time, if it's something AI generated, if it comes on my feed, I'm like immediately turn off. Like,
I've been fooled by some of that stuff too.
You've been fooled by some of them?
Yeah, dude.
I mean, sure. I might have. I don't know, honestly, if I was fooled or not. But like, if I can tell.
There's a lot of people in OnlyFans that are being scammed right now. For sure.
If I can tell, and I just immediately, I'm like, no, I don't like, I feel like I value a lot the fact that somebody has come up with their own ideas, right? Like with their own thought process. Like I really value thinkers. Like,
that's hard too.
Some of my favorite people, I was like, if they can really put thoughts into words and like properly communicate ideas, like I just love that. So having, a machine take over for you. And this is not to say, like you said, it's like AI is a tool and there are ways to use it that can make you a better thinker, right? Mm-hmm. A communicator. But at the end of the day, if you're putting all this content out there and then somebody meets you and, they can tell, hey, this is not you, right? Like this is a farce. Like there's some work in there that needs to be done.
I think that the market also will dictate this a lot because like people understand that you took the time to develop that idea, that framework, to work on your craft as as a content creator or as an entrepreneur, like people know that. It's like comparing, you know, a Rolls Royce that's like handmade versus, you know, a Toyota Corolla that's massive. Oh, of course, there's going to be consumers for both, but the quality of the Rolls Royce customer is very different than the Toyota. Like they're different customers, right? So it's similar to us. It's like, okay, is a handcrafted message? Is it you? Are you unique in that way? You're going to attract those people. Versus if it's like more on the generic side, higher volume, people will argue, well, it could get to that point you're just like scaling volume, but then to what point like you or your company can control the message there? Or like, does it go out of control? I think like it's something that people, especially today, is a big element that they need to be looking at. Like, how do we do the research on this? How do we craft the message in that sense? There's definitely applications that you can do, but at the end of the day, it's like, what's your strategy to like, do you value the trust of that customer or do you just want to put volume out there? I don't know. I think it's so new.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. I think it's changed. I think if you try to predict where AI is going to be in like 6 months, you're sort of crazy. Like it's changing so much. And I think, again, like we said, I think if you use it intentionally, it can make you smarter, but a lot of people are using it to think for themselves. And I think that is going to hurt a lot of people long term. No. And I mean, dude, I can tell when people are like writing emails for me that are AI. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity for community and in-person stuff going forward for sure, which I think as humans will normally gravitate towards that again because we are tribal and that's like a big part of like how we're wired. But yeah, man, I think especially like the younger generation, I'm just hoping they don't. I mean, I know myself back in school, if I had ChatGPT and I was in freaking high school and college, like again, I think using it intentionally to help you with some stuff can be great, like personalized learning, stuff like that. But like, to cheat on tests and like to just do my homework, like that might have been dangerous for me.
The thing too is like, is being proven that if something is harder to learn, you will like, it will stick in your brain for longer. Right. So like they actually did this study where they had one group, they had to, you know, they gave all the same prompt. One group had to go and like find it in books, whatever. They couldn't use the internet. One group could use Google and then the other group could use ChatGPT. And then they would have to write a paper about it. And then after a certain amount of time, they would ask him, like, what did they learn? The ChatGPT group, they didn't learn any. Like,
because they did it for them.
They didn't have any recall, right, of the information. And the people that did the hard work and looking on stuff, like, they remember more. So I know people talk about, this is one of the arguments we have with a friend that lives down in Nocatee, and he's a pretty big entrepreneur, and he's very pro AI, right? Yeah. But he's like, AI is going to lead to like humanity, like enlightenment, right? For example, and we're going to have, you know, like they're going to take care of all the basic needs and all this thing. And we're just going to have time to do all these other things.
To think and be creative.
And to think. And I'm like, I have a hard time doing that because like the main use I see of AI is for people to replace their thinking right now.
Oh, it is for sure. I mean, even like, I think there was a company yesterday, I think it was Blocks, like the former founder of Twitter. They laid off like 4,000 people and they laid off like almost half their staff. They had 10,000 employees. This dude just wrote a tweet about it. It was crazy. That's happening right now today. And so, yeah, I think if you use AI intentionally, like if you take ChatGPT out and you like prompt it with questions, you're like, hey, this is my Myers-Briggs. Like, this is like what it gave me. I'm an INTJ. This is my DISC assessment. I'm trying to be an entrepreneur. This is the industries I like. Like maybe give me some questions that can help me better understand myself. What do you think I should do? Like intentional versus like, help me write my paper for me. It's like, that's not going to do any good for anyone. Yeah. And I think, it's definitely replacing a ton of thinking. It's going to replace a ton of jobs. I mean, I was at a AI conference last year and someone asked us, he was like a billionaire tech investor. I forget the guy's name. But someone in the audience asked him, he's like, do you think AI will have a net negative or net positive on society going forward? And the dude pauses and he's like, well, I just invested in this AI massage business. And so you lay down on the table and these two arms, robot arms come out and they give you a massage. And he was like, it was actually pretty good. And then he goes on to say, he's like, you know, this stuff is becoming so smart and it's so fast where there's going to become a point in time where like, who's regulating this stuff? He's like, it's not going to be the government. It's just me, these big companies, you know, it's going to be like X, OpenAI, Claude, all that kind of stuff. And he said, there's going to come a point in time where it becomes so smart, a lot smarter than we are, like combined as humans, where it's not going to want to turn off. And he said, that point, I don't know what's going to happen. And then he said, I think it's going to be a net negative once that happens. No. And to me, that sort of scared me. And I'm just like,
it is scary.
I need to go find a cave that I can live in or something.
the Matrix, pretty much.
That guy's in. Yeah, and The Matrix is one of my favorite movies. But he's an AI tech investor, so like he's in it. And if he's saying that, I'm like, okay, I gotta listen to him.
They know.
And like I think there's a reason Elon wants to go to Mars, bro. It's like he might see iRobot coming in the future, bro.
He wants to escape the.
But he's like part of it. He's like making a bunch of robots now and like stop making cars. I'm like, dude, what is happening right now?
Yeah, it is pretty wild. Let's circle back here real quick to the topic of content, and we're approaching the end. But you know, besides AI, right now that you're building your personal brand, like I'm curious on what are your references, right? Because I'm sure you pretty much knee deep into studying content, you know, different type of creators and stuff like that. I know you mentioned Dan Martell. Probably you look up to your mentors, right? Emile, Jesse Isler. So what other creators out there, you know, do you have on your sides that we can all learn from?
Yeah, so I think behind the scenes of Dan is Sam Gaudet, and I got to meet Sam too at Tony Robbins. He posts a lot of good stuff behind like the psychology of like how stuff works, and I'm like seeing that, I'm like, dude, this is like sort of like formulaic, and like again, me putting my business hat on is like, okay, like I gotta maybe do a little contrarian hook, and then like you gotta teach people and like, you know, pre-frame them and all this stuff, and it's just like it's like an art almost. Yeah. So I like Sam's stuff a lot. There's this other guy who's like more behind the scenes, like he'll grow pages like Briar Cochran, I think his name is. He's pretty solid. I like his stuff too. A lot of like psychology data. I'm a big psychology guy, so I'm like trying to study this as much as I can. But as far as like creators, yeah, no, I've already said them all. Like Dan, I don't listen to many people. That's the thing about me. I'm very, very picky with who I listen to. Again, if I can't trade lives with you, I'm pretty much not going to listen to you for the most part. Obviously, I'll pick and choose like on certain topics, but overall. But I think for content specifically, I love Dan's stuff. There's a reason why he's grown so quickly. Yeah. Ed hasn't posted in like 2 years, but you know, I get to work with him, so I love his stuff still. Tony's stuff is OG. I think some newer guys that I like. Who else have I been following recently that I like?
What are some things that you're looking for when, you know, choosing like who to follow? Because we've been in the stage where it's like we were narrowed and then we went wide, and then we're like, man, we're just more confused because you start seeing contrarian points of view, and then you're like, you go to this conference, like, I'm committing to this guy for a full year, consuming that. Like,
that's why you got to be careful with who you listen to, man, because you can get lost in there's so many people with opinions, but it's like, and if I don't want their life, I'm not going to listen to them.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
And so again, for me, like I don't Hormozy stuff I like. I think that podcast with Tony Robbins, I thought was awesome for him.
That was good.
I hope he takes his advice. I think he's so good at like the tactical business stuff. He just dumbs it down so well. And dumbs it down is probably not the right word, but he makes it so simple for like people who are just starting out. And like, I've learned a lot from him too. Yeah. And I think he's got such a great platform to like just still change so many people's lives in that sense. So I like his stuff a lot too. But I think, again, for me, I'm very picky with who I listen to. So I don't follow a whole lot of people. Like my follower list, I think I follow less than 500 people, but if I don't see you at like a grocery store and like we can have a conversation, I'm probably not going to be friends with you, and I'm not going to follow you. I'm just very picky with like what's on my feed, because again, talk about energy, right? Yeah. If I'm following someone and they like post something on like some crazy shit on the news, what happened like a week ago, that is now affecting me. But like in that moment, it didn't happen, but now I'm being affected by it. So I'm like, I'll look at people's pages and like even if like I meet them and I think they're cool, but like if they're posting shit that I wouldn't want in my brain, I'm not going to follow them. But I like a lot of the psychology pages, like the mindset pages, stuff like that. I'm trying to think of, I probably got to go through my recents about who I follow, but for me, it's just business, personal development stuff. That's pretty much, and then I like stand-up comedy. So I'll do a little bit of that on, nice. So like, you know, Bill Burr, I love, he's awesome. And then, you know, some of the stand-up pages. I like that Fogey guy. Have you ever seen him where he takes Ed's thing and he's like manipulating Tom? He takes Grant, he's like, dude, like 32 units, why not 100 units? Why not 1,000 units? He's funny. And then I like Austin Nasso. He's great. Have you followed him? Oh, dude, he does this hilarious Tony Robbins impression. I'll send it to you. It's epic. It's so good. It's so good. So I like stuff like that where they're like doing spoofs, and that just makes me laugh. So I love to laugh.
Yeah, that's good.
I think for me as a consumer, we have to watch our energy big time. I mean, we have the football show, and recently something happened in that world where I went in and I commented on a couple of things, my own opinion, and the negativity that came because of that, because it's very polarizing racism topic that's happening in that world was crazy. I'm like, to the point where like I'm agreeing with these people, right? And they're still coming, and I'm like, wow, I need to watch the energy behind this, because I think because we're so knee deep in the content world and knowing like in our line who to follow, how to follow, like how to interact with that when you step out of that, it's an energy suck. And that was like perspective to like the majority of the people are there.
Yeah, dude.
Right? Because they're just consuming politics and this thing. And recently it was something with our parents too, like crazy. And it's like, man, like let's put our head out of the hole. And like, what is our framework?
Oh, my head's in the hole, bro. I'm like, I'm not watching the news. I don't watch TV.
No,
like, I don't do anything.
not in that. I guess my reference was
I got my blinders on.
I guess like my reference was like, if you're in the hole, it's like you because you're. I get the opposite. I know the opposite.
I know what you're saying.
You got to change holes, bro. You're in the wrong.
Change the hole. Yeah,
you're wrong. Oh, actually, another guy. That's hilarious. Another guy too that I just met recently when I was hanging out with Jesse. Michael Smoke, y'all Higher Up Wellness. You guys hear it?
What is his name? Michael what?
Michael Smoke is his name. Higher Up Wellness. So he's mastered this. Yeah. All he does is just talk to his phone, but he's more of like a fitness guy.
Okay.
But he's a really, really good speaker, like very, very well communicator. Very, very well communicated. I just fucked it up. He's very good at communicating.
He will be part of you.
I was trying to speak well highly of him there, but yeah, he all he does is this, and he does this thing too where he has this like challenge, like a 30-day thing. He's just like pick up the phone and talk for like a minute and just post it. And so he's big on just fucking do this. But he's got like 1 million followers just by doing that. I think he's got more than 1 million depending on the platform.
Yeah.
And I met him about a month ago, but he was awesome. He's a new one that I've been following too.
So I mean, honestly, right now, getting a little more tactical. You could potentially do that, right? Like if you want to, I know some people want to have like a curated feed, a little bit more taken care of. You can do your one post that looks nice, that is more produced. And then do that and just put on trial reels, right? Mm-hmm. And you can put like 20 of those out a day. They don't stay on your feed. They go out to people that don't know you.
You to do that.
Bro, I'm the mastermind behind. I'll tell you what to do and then you go record it.
This is our entire argument. Like since we talked before, right? Like I'm the raw guy, whatever.
And I like that. I like a lot of the research. Like I do the research and for our clients, like I do the research, help them with some of the scripting part of it. And then I'm like, all right.
The trial reels is big though.
You record.
I just recently learned about it like 2 months ago. So we've been experimenting with that a little bit. And I don't know how well it actually works, but I've seen like a lot of it's funny, I guess since I've been following Sam and like Briar and some of the other guys, all like the other psychological, like they're like, there's like guys who like, they'll be watching a video. Have you seen that where they like break it down? They're like contrarian hook and they do like, keeps them in the loop or what opens loop or whatever. I'm just like, oh my God, like this is insane. But like those kind of things where I'm looking at that and they're like, yeah, do trial reels.
Yeah. But my content that I would enjoy will be the guy mimicking those guys, making fun of that, but in good time, not in the bad scenario. But
maybe that could be something you do, bro.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Look at this idea. Do you like The Office or okay? I want to create a series for the studio, like The Office, with us as characters going through office-like situations, but in the studio. So that will be the studio account. I don't want to talk about how to do a podcast. I don't want to. It's fine. People can find that information online. I want like the studio to become this personality and we have skits in here. And then when people come, they're like, oh my gosh, this is actually a business. This is actually a thing. People can come and see it. So
he wants to be an artist. He wants to be...
Bro, Luisa creates, baby. Look.
Hey, no, I love it. I love the idea. I think it's a great idea.
I become more of a fan of like, if you're going to like, if we're in this game of creation for long term, because we're here for
make it enjoyable.
We have to enjoy the things that we create at the end of the day. It's like, dude, if you give me a script and I don't, this is a pain, like I'm not going to do it. So I have to create things that I like to create at the end of the day, whether then you have to balance consistency, frequency, like the tactical thing. But first you have to enjoy how to like create those things. So how do we make it enjoyable? And I think that's a balance for everybody. It's going to look different for everybody, right?
Yep. That's like thing. I think how do I make this fun is such an underrated question, especially in business. And I think, enjoying the journey is like all you really have at the end of the day too. One of my old coaches, every day I talked to him, he was like, remember to enjoy the journey, Justin. I was such a result. I actually struggle with that a lot, dude. Like, I was such a results guy. Like I wouldn't enjoy the process. I just want to get to the result. Cause I'm like, why would I even take the journey if I'm not getting to my destination? Right. And so that was me. And I had to I struggled a lot with that, but now I'm very much like having a lot more fun. And it's funny, as I'm having more fun, I'm accomplishing a lot more. And I think as I've got to know a lot of these successful people, they've said a lot of the same things. Even like these mega successful entrepreneurs, they're like, I wish I didn't grind as hard. I wish I actually enjoyed a little bit more. And there's obviously things in business where like, I don't personally love, going through the spreadsheets and like being in front of Excel and like some other stuff. It's just like, but that's just part of the game. Part of it, yeah. But for the most part, I think if you can engineer your life to where like you are doing something fun every day, like being like a kid, like Evan and like a bunch of my other friends are like, dude, if you used to skateboard as a kid, like you should skateboard every day. If you love to go play tennis, like you should play tennis every day if you can, like go play pickleball or whatever, like have some fun. I think Yeah, I think having fun is underrated. And like, again, if you want to be consistent, you're not going to quit something you enjoy. And so for me, it's the same thing. It's like, how can I make this the most fun so I don't quit? And that's the game of business. Like a lot of people quit because they burn out and they don't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're the best. Like there's some really great business people who just quit early. And I don't think I'm a great entrepreneur at all. I think I'm still learning so much every day. I mess up all the time, but like, I just enjoy it. And so I feel like I'm just gonna outlast people. And like with this content thing now, like there's a lot of stuff I don't want to do. That's why I'm like, all right, we're redoing it all here so I can have more fun.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll stop once I have more fun. Like I could do a podcast probably like every day, honestly. I think I could, maybe there might be a day where I'm like, I don't want to talk to people, but I think 3 days a week I could easily do it if it's especially about business, personal development, talking with people that I can maybe help. Like that to me is easy. And it's crazy. Like to get possibly paid for just talking. It's just like, dude, what else is like more fun than that? You know?
Yeah.
Have you met Alex Sanfilippo?
I think I met Alex at the event.
I think
I met him.
talking. I think I met him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, his company Podmatch, he gets people together to do more podcasts. You should go in there and like start getting other people's audiences or get to know you more.
That's what I got Steven for. So Steven, if you're listening.
There we go. Steven, get him on podcast. get him on Podmatch. That's awesome, dude. So, all right, to wrap it up, any last comments in here?
Yeah, we gotta do a mini series, bro. Here's the best part. I have two guys that are in media, like they fill in for us at events, different things. I pitched the idea to them. They're cinematographers, I guess. The right.
Yeah, they would love that stuff.
They were like, we're down to create this thing. I need you, bro. Like I need you. That's because I cannot cast you, bro. You're unique.
AI, bro. AI.
But anyways, that's my pitch. But no, the question, Justin, I guess for you is like, is there like anything like a lesson, something that you're applying right now that, people in a similar position trying to develop their own personal brands or, putting themselves out there? Because I do see it like for you, I feel like it's like this massive, very positive shift in like how you operated in a lot of your life. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see, the results of this. I think you're going to help a ton of people. So people that are in that same situation, what will you tell them today?
Yeah, I think it's just doing it. Like, Jesse Itzer also says, you got to get over the fear of being embarrassed, which I love too. It's like, yeah, putting yourself out there is scary and I understand it completely, but like at the end of the day, like no one really cares either. But I think if you have good intentions at the end of the day, like you want to help people, you want to grow your business, whatever. I think it's just doing the thing, like getting in the reps and you'll get better. Like I'm doing this right now. Like I'm literally like recording. I'm trying to record every day as best I can with my schedule. Very cool. If not, I'll batch it up. Awesome. But it's just like, you can never get better if you're not in the game. So you got to get in the game, step one, but just do the thing. And if it's something that's in your heart, just share it. And so that's what I'm just trying to do. And we'll see where it goes. Just don't go and record in gas stations. Remember at Boise? we got kicked out of a gas station because we were trying to vlog. It was the first time that's one of my... Out of a gas station in Boise?
It's like, how random can this be? Very random.
So we were in the middle, I think, of the challenge and we're like telling people to get out of their comfort zone. And like for me, my personal challenge there was, I want to do a vlog, like we're at Boise for an event, and we're a coffee shop, and the gas station was behind. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go vlog in the gas station picking an ice cream thing, and we're there recording, and I'm like, I'm freaking out. It's like the first time I'm out there, like almost like shaking. And this manager comes and is like, "Can I please ask you to stop recording or get out of the shop?" I'm like, yes, of course, ma'am. Yes, of course. And I did not record for the rest of the trip. That was it.
Oh my gosh!
But I will say, doing content, same as, it's just part of the business game. It's just such a strong tool of personal development, right? Like, absolutely, it is, man. You will see all these fears and then you gotta be insightful, right? And introspective and just ask yourself, okay, why am I feeling that way, right? Like, why am I, and full transparency, like, right now, I'm relying 100% on the ability of my brother to create content, right? Because what I enjoy is like more of what comes before the content. I love this. I've missed like in-person podcasts, literally in all, 500 interviews that we've done. Every single time after we're done recording, I'm like, dude, that was so good. Like, I love it. But I have friction creating, the short form content. Yeah. So, in all honesty, I got to be introspective and ask myself, like, okay, why?
That might not be the best thing for you too. Like you could love writing. It's like, well, go all in on LinkedIn or like X or something versus, or like just YouTube if you like the long form. You don't got to do short form. I think that's the thing too. Like I'm learning that about, like I like this a lot more than the shorts, but I think too with what I'm doing, I'm going to do a little bit of both. But like, I was like a writer first, and I still like to tweet out stuff, and I'll just tweet out my thoughts randomly. But again, I don't think people have to do it. Like if you want to write, if you want to make videos, make videos.
Yeah, I do agree to that. I'm going to challenge it. I know I said we're going to wrap up like 10 minutes ago.
Let's keep it going, man.
Yeah, but it's like...
Challenge me. It's more fun when you challenge me.
Yeah, the whole thing is like, I agree to an extent on do more of like what is fun and what you enjoy, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I think there are vehicles that work better for what somebody wants, right? So going back to, you want to know where you're going to, right? If you have a goal, it's like, well, the best way to get their results right now is potentially to create this type of media, right? This type of content. So if somebody that might enjoy, writing, maybe they need to find a way how to include that on their shorts, right?
Yeah, like how do they do like a carousel with like make it like in their handwriting and do some cool pictures. And I think there's tons of pages that have blown up like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's that's why I said I agree to an extent, but at the same time, I'm like, I do think there are mediums that work better regarding of somebody's goals.
There's also the element of like, okay, resources. We have this concept called the publishing pyramid, right? At the top, you have your resources and then the capacity of those resources, whether it's like your time or your hire's time, or like, whoever you have in that. And it's like, okay, look, like what do I enjoy doing? What am I good at? Like, where am I willing to put in the work? Through Jesse as well, like he mentions a lot of the things. It's like, okay, do cool shit at the end of the day. It's like, do cool shit, dude. Yeah. You want to hang out with cool people, do cool shit, right? At the end of the day, like do stuff that people want to come hang out with you. And I think like to me personally, it's like, I've taken that. I'm like, okay, what is a cool thing that I'm doing, right? And it will like maybe for me it's cool, maybe for other people are not cool. That's fine. We don't resonate. We might not be a good relationship for that side. So I think a lot of people through that personal journey are gonna discover that, and then they can apply it into the thing they're creating. Yes, you can take a tactical approach, but then what is it the opportunity there, and how long can you sustain it? Can you start it and then somebody comes in and continues that journey, right? Like what was the company, Sweet Fish Media, right? Like their founder started like a daily podcast and they'd done it for so long. And then he was like, dude, I'm exhausted of this. Well, they hire a new host and they introduce a new host. So now they have this host that runs that show and then he's doing something else. So there's ways, tactically that you can do that. But at the end of the day, like you said, you got to know yourself and then you got to, know where you're going. What is the thing that you actually want to do? And then from there, it's like, okay, there's all these levers that you can, at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that everything works. At the end, give it time, anything works. I mean, you like comedy, you mentioned, right? Like I'm obsessed with Kill Tony. Like Kill
Tony's hilarious.
I'm obsessed, man. Like I don't miss an episode. It's like, I've gone back on the episodes. They've been doing that show for 10 years now, I think. 10 years. And the first like 7, they were like only comics and nothing. Like right now they've blown up. They have multiple Netflix specials. They do like arenas. They sold out. And it's because they stuck with it. They loved it. Of course, they have to make money somehow. But I listened to an interview with Redban, who's the producer. And he was a producer for Joe Rogan's shows. He had like 8 shows that he produced for 8 years for free. To build the skill to do this. And then Tony called him and it's like, dude, I have this crazy idea. I want to do it with me. And he's like, only for 50-50. Right. And then they started to Kill Tony. And then that didn't monetize for like 5 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Crazy. Like this interview is amazing. It's like in the look of this guy. And then he was like, he has so many cool stories, but you're like, wow, like the people that are discovering Kill Tony now, each episode is doing 2 million downloads, right? Like they have the Netflix, like all these crazy things. It takes time. And it's a format that you put it out there and you're like, this is crazy. The topics they talk about, this is crazy. Like my wife cannot watch this, man. Like she gets so uncomfortable, but it's like everything works at the end of the day. You'll find it. So it's like, how long are you willing to endure? How long are you willing to get better? Granted, they are really good at what they do. They've leveled up many things.
But that's what happens too when you stick with it for the long time, right?
Yeah, you put the reps in, hopefully you get better. I mean, there's a lot of people who just do a bunch of reps and don't get better. So you got to be...
Exactly.
It's like, you got to watch the game film type of thing.
Yeah.
But you stay in the game. Hopefully you can have fun majority of the time and then you keep going and then you wake up one day and hopefully you're successful.
Yeah. Sweet, man. All right. Anything else, Fonzie?
Nah, dude. Thank you. This was awesome.
Thank you guys.
We got to hang out outside the studio one day.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
I'm down. All right, guys. All right. Go follow the show, obviously. Go follow Justin and all the links right below. And if you want to be part of the community, businesscreator.club. And Fonzie, you're still doing your challenge? People see your faces?
What?
The
No.
clarity challenge? No?
We haven't done it in a while. We haven't run them in a while. So, well, I mean, it was fun, but at the same time, they're very time consuming
For you.
for me.
So
yeah.
are we doing it or no? We're
No,
not
not
doing
right
it.
now.
No,
right
it's
now.
close,
more time.
guys. No
It's
more
close
challenge.
For now. It's close for now. When's your book coming out? Do you have a tentative date?
Hopefully early this fall or late fall. It's still work in progress.
All right. Well, go follow Justin.
When it's
and
ready,
then-
come over
Come back.
again.
We'll
and
come back. We'll
promote
do it again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sweet.
absolutely.
All right. Take care, guys.
See ya.